Hey, mamas and friends. Welcome to Unplugged with Just Wit, the uplifting podcast where we dive into faith, family, and motherhood. I'm your host, Just Wit, and I am beyond excited to have you here with me. So let's get started. Welcome back to Unplugged with Just Wit. Today we have a powerhouse, and y'all gonna soon see why. This super amazing woman wears many hats. Seriously, she does. Like, we were just talking about this. She's an IO psychologist, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, and the principal consultant of CHBM Services, LLC. But it don't stop there. In addition to that, Catherine is the executive director of Disruptive INC. It is an organization dedicated to reducing poverty among single parents through career development and resources. Please join me, y'all, in welcoming Catherine McNeil, BBA, MA, also known as ASC Catherine on social media. And that's Ask Catherine for y'all that didn't catch that. Hey, Catherine, I said all y'all acronyms and stuff.
You got it. I am proud of you. Hooked on Phonics works for me.
No, for real. I had hooked on Phonics when I was little. In a big box. I remember it.
It was a
it's not that
tool.
I couldn't read, but I think my mom just wanted me to have it because I love reading, but I definitely had hooked on Phonics. Do they even still have that? I should look it up.
I don't know. I feel like they probably do something else now.
Yeah, maybe. Let's get into this interview with the powerhouse, Miss Catherine. So, girl, tell me a little bit about your journey, because that was just a little snippet. I know it's, you could probably write a book. Actually, you did write a book. So
7 of them.
See, I told y'all she a powerhouse. I told y'all she a powerhouse. Sis be on her stuff, and I want to know how you got to be the powerhouse that you are today.
So yeah, first I always get a kick out of people introducing me and giving like all of the kudos and stuff. So I'm gonna take that, right? Because I'm working on the whole being able to smell the flowers and run through the valley and enjoy all of the love and all of that great stuff too, right? But how did I get here? The very short version of the story, because it's told throughout all of the different books that I've written in some way, shape, fashion, or form. But I'm from the south side of Chicago, Roseland born, not completely raised. Right? Because I've done stints all over the city, like literal stints. I have lived all over Chicago.
So that means I could call you when I get lost anywhere in Chicago and you can tell me how to get back.
Absolutely, because I was a latchkey kid. So I definitely went to school on the west side, on the northwest side, and lived all the way up north. Or I lived all the way up north in Rogers Park and went to school all the way on 111th, right? So literally, from the age of probably 12 on up through high school, there's not an aspect of CTA that I did not touch, and then turned around and started working for them for a little bit of time. So yeah, I am your resident tour guide.
So when people come to Chicago, they always be like, where should I go? What should I do? I'm like, girl, I still use a GPS. I can't help you.
And I have a kid. One of my kids is like that. She can't find her way out of paper bag. And it just tickles me because I don't understand how you came from me and all of this geographical aptitude that I got going on. Yes. And she ain't going to the corner without a paper bag. She ain't going to the corner without a GPS.
Oh, see, I ain't that bad. It's just when I get past like past the low end, when I started getting into like downtown and like up north and especially the west side, I'm good. Y'all gotta come pick me up. And I definitely can't ride the bus. Downtown, I can ride the bus, but you ain't gonna catch me on no L. I ride the metro all day too. But the rest of that,
From a comfort standpoint, I would prefer to drive my car. However,
you're not getting on the red line.
I'm not in the year of our Lord 2020. Nothing. Not intentionally.
Y'all look up the red line if you don't know what we talking
Please.
about. Please.
You can look up all the lines.
It's probably some videos about the.
I'm a pass.
Get somebody else to do it. Okay. Because me and Catherine could be sitting here all day. I know y'all probably like shut up.
But in all seriousness, right? So I've lived on all of the sides and did the largest stint on the Southeast side. So primarily
Okay.
that's where I spent the bulk of my life. Went to all the schools type, went to all the school types, public, private, charter, not really because charter wasn't around then, so I was about to lie to y'all. All girls, all Black Catholic, had all of the experiences. Went away to college. I got into Penn State, not the main campus because I wasn't that smart, but I was smart enough to get in to
Right. Oh, that means
Pennsylvania State University.
you smart. You was smart.
Yeah, I was like 3.0 smart, not like
Oh,
3.7 and above.
yes.
Yeah.
I understand.
And couldn't play a sport. So yeah. Anyway, so I got into Penn State, did my first year as a computer engineering major, and came home for the summer. I was prepared to go back, president of student government, like the whole you dig. I was popping and got popped off.
You was having a little bit too much fun that summer, huh?
Took vacation a little too seriously, got pregnant. There's a whole lot of drama around that story. It's in one of those books, but got pregnant, got faced with the ultimatum. My dad was like, I'll continue to pay for school if you go back absent a child. If you have to keep the child, I'm not supporting you financially. So 3 kids, 2 degrees, 2 businesses, 7 books, and a whole career later.
Wow.
That's how I got here.
Told y'all, Powerhouse. She keep playing Powerhouse because, girl, that really just gave me chills because a lot of people in circumstances, they'll sit in it. But you was like, nah, I ain't sitting in it. I'm about to continue doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So give me some insight on your work with CHBM. I want to know about that.
So funny thing, right? CHBM Services started as a hustle. 2015, I was pregnant with my youngest son. I was a training and development manager at a local student loan debt collection agency, making the most money I ever made. It was my first real leadership position, like where I, had like 8 or 9 direct reports.
Okay.
Came in, took the whole organization like by storm. It was a great experience. Still connected to the leader that hired me on there to this date. However, an incident took place where we ended up losing our largest client. So that whole year, I was starting to lay off my staff because anybody that knows anything about the workplace, typically training and any type of development is the first thing to go. They consider that to be expendable.
Yep, that and marketing.
Right, yeah. So, throughout the course of the year, I already knew what the writing on the wall was. And the only reason why it didn't happen sooner was because I was pregnant. So when I went on maternity leave later that year, I launched CHBM Services because I said, something's going to change when I come back. And all through my journey, I realized that people of color specifically struggle with career development. They don't really understand what it is. They don't really understand how to apply it. They think it's as simple as resume writing and interviewing. And it's so much more than that. So the thing that I knew how to do was write resumes and create LinkedIn profiles, like the things that I knew how to do quickly. Mm-hmm, so I formed the business based on that service. So I was, I would do coaching, but I didn't really advertise that. I focused on writing affordable resumes and building LinkedIn profiles for folks. And things just did a lot. I'm first generation entrepreneur in my family. So I ain't have nobody to ask. I had nothing by way of somebody that looked like me, sound like me, act like me, God forbid, right? To be able to guide me in any direction. But there were programs like through the YWCA and the SBDC. And don't ask me, it's the Small Business Development Council. I was about to say, don't ask me what the acronyms mean. But
I know them acronyms.
Yeah. But through the YWCA and the Small Business Development Council had a cohort where they were teaching you the fundamentals of building a business. Nice. Then, and it's still happening with eCornell and Bank of America. They have a women's entrepreneurship cohort that teaches you the back office. Yeah.
Yes.
that is a connection to have. I'll go down that rabbit hole later, but congratulations, because that was one of the best things that I could have ever done by way of understanding and learning how to do business. So I did like the SBDC and the YWCA one first. Next year, I ended up doing the cohort for the women's for eCornell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm shifting because in between here now, because like by the time I get to eCornell, it's 2020.
Okay.
So between 2016 or 2015, when I start the business, and I have no idea what I'm doing, the beginning of 2016, I get laid off.
Dang.
Like, so first quarter, I get my severance package. My prayer was like for me to be able to stay home with my son for the first year, because I never got the opportunity to do that with my girls, because I was young, I was hustling, I was working, I was doing all the
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up starting the job that I work currently for the utility later that year, like literally the day after my son's first birthday.
Wow.
And I was Uber, like I was doing Uber, and I had unemployment. Like I was doing all of the things to make ends meet, writing resumes and talking at non-for-profits and all of this stuff. But I still didn't really know what I wanted to do with CHBM Services. Like I knew my very end game, but I had no idea how to get to
Yeah.
your, like where I am now. But I just kept doing stuff. So now it drops in my spirit. I'm a mother. I know I want to help parents. I don't know how this connects to career development, but I'm going to write this book. So my first book, the 31-day affirmation for single mothers, I wrote because by that time, my oldest daughter was like 17. She was crazy and she was going through all the things. And I was like, I'm going to jail and I'm going to catch all the cases. And I don't have nobody to talk to, because traditionally, we don't have conversations about the challenges in our home, right? What happens in my
Right.
house stays in my house.
Yep.
So I'm thinking I'm in a unique situation, and I'm like, I'm going to help somebody else. So it's 31 days of encouragement and transparency, and me sharing, like my journey or whatever, and how I felt, and these mom feelings and mom guilt and all this other
Yes.
stuff. And then I'm like, well, you write a book for the mothers, you got to write a book for the dads, because these relationships with the fathers for the people who are unmarried are trash. And how you fix, so now I'm just out here like identifying stuff that means something to me, don't know how the
Yeah.
dots connect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm being obedient and I'm doing like all of these things, and slowly but surely the messaging starts to come together. And now there's a focus on holistic career development,
Yes.
and my shit showing shenanigans like aspect, right, where it's where the personal meets the professional, and really being able to get the language and articulate that there is no one without the other. Like people's personal needs, personal issues, personal area opportunity, whatever you want to call it, have to be addressed for folks to show up in the workplace. And I'm a
Yes.
parent, so I can speak from the standpoint of having to provide for a whole family. So, after all the years and all the development and all of the trying, I started making all these great friends in these spaces and all these great connections. And then I eventually get to the point of where we are now.
Wow. What a journey, girl. Like, I know for me too, like I was in that space where I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I like what I'm doing, but I feel like I need to do more. Because
Mm-hmm.
even when God was like mothers, for me, I'm like, I'm barely a mom. I'm like, I ain't even figured it out. So it's like what? You know, woo, like parenting a toddler is crazy. But I was trying to do other stuff, and God was like, skirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that sometimes we forget that we should include God in those plans, because we don't went around
Yeah.
the world and he like, I just told you to walk straight. So have you had any moments like that in your life?
Every day. I was literally talking about this earlier when I was in therapy. And I tell people all the time when I'm coaching or I'm consulting, I'm like, you need to write that in pencil, church. Well, I don't call them church because that's not professional. You need to
Yeah.
write that in pencil, ma'am, sir, they, them, there.
Mhm.
Because it is not going to go, like, you have to be flexible in all of that. It's great, right? Like, I think he blesses the fact that we want to do something and we're making the steps to do something. And sometimes we got to take the scenic route. I know I did. Like, I had no intentions on having children. That was not a part of my conversation. Do you hear me at all?
Hey, and you have 3.
And I have 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Exactly.
And the rumor is I'm a halfway decent parent too. Like, my grown kids actually like me. They rock with me. Like, we kick it. So that's typically how you can tell whether or not you were a good parent. If your adult kids don't mess with you, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put that in my pocket for when Liam gets, a little bit older. Then I'm be like, I'm watching you.
Yeah, like once they don't have to be bothered with you, they're no longer bothered with you. You weren't as great as you thought. Like, that's one of those things that I've learned on this journey, and it's pretty cool. But anyway, it was not part of the plan. But I can't imagine my life absent that title. That's not my only title. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my whole life. That's not my end game. That's not my identity. But them girls played a huge part in me being who I am today. Because one, I was the only child, so I was super selfish. I was super spoiled, super inconsiderate. Always been mean as a rattlesnake, unbothered and detached, and emotionally void and or detached.
I'm an only child too. I really understand
all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And, to get to the point of having happy, healthy, functioning, reciprocal, fruitful, flourishing relationships, you can't be any of those things to an extreme. You can have modicums, but not to an extreme. And having children really challenge that. Having people that depend on you for literally everything really challenged that. And then it got to a point where it was like, so these little people watching me. So, like, what type of adult they end up being is contingent upon what they see.
Girl, the pressure.
Yeah.
Like even me just, Liam is 2. So even, if I do something, I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay. And I'm just like, oh, give me a hug. But he's a sponge right now. He's watching the interactions, between me and his dad, between me and his grandma. Like, he, just social interaction. And I'm like, dang, I really got to raise this kid. It's more than putting food on the table, clothes on their back. Like, they're watching you. They're watching
you. Are their first example of everything. Everything. And it's funny because I remember when my girls were smaller, they were like, why do you talk to your mama like that? I'm like, you can't talk to me like that. Now, as an adult, and they see like certain stuff, they was like, oh, we understand that. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love my mom, but my mom was a child for most of my life. Like, that's just the reality of it. And there's a whole story as to why, and like what that looked like. But I was the mature one in the relationship and I was the kid. So it just is what it is there. So growing up, and as I was reconciling and learning to address and forgive, you know what I mean? Like, and understand and all of these things that you have to go through to get past your mess and make sure that you're not, passing that crap on to your kids and all of that other stuff. I would bring my kids along on that journey. But one thing about me, like with my parents or anyone else, I don't do this in relationships, period. I'm not going to turn you against somebody. I'll fall out with them. I'll fall out with them.
Yes.
I'm going to let you draw your own conclusion.
Yep.
And I did that same thing with both of my parents, one of which I don't have a relationship with anymore. And the other I do, but my kids got the opportunity to see on both sides for themselves. They were like, I get it. Like, I get it now. But they didn't understand when they were little. When I understood that.
Yeah. My mom did the same thing to me with my dad. She never said anything, bad or whatever. She was just like, one day you will see for yourself. Like, that's what she had to tell herself. Like, I've done my part. You have to form your own opinion. And I eventually did. I was probably in my 20s when I formed my own opinion. And unfortunately, so he passed away. And thank you. But I think I wasn't hurt because we had already had a conversation. I had already forgiven him. We were just at a place where it was like, okay, that's my dad. Like, if he call, I'll pick up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were cordial, we were cool. But I love the fact that you allowed your children to make their own decisions around things, because I think a lot of people just really don't do that, and that's dangerous too,
It
So,
backfires. It's
yeah,
gonna
every time,
backfire.
every time.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, you may have all of the reasons. Now, absent an individual being abusive in any type of way,
Yes.
right, or neglectful in an abusive type of way, right? Outside of that, just because y'all not together no more, you don't like them, they might not have been a good significant other for you, or in,
Yep.
in regards to parents, just because they were, you know what I mean, like they weren't the model of parenthood or whatever your definition of what the perfect parent is
Right.
or whatever. Like I had a lot of conversations like in my adult years with my parents that made a lot of the things that they did make sense. It doesn't excuse it,
Yeah.
but now understanding how they grew, like both of my parents' journeys were identical, with the exception of my dad went to college and my mom didn't. So they were
Wow.
the both oldest. So both were the oldest of four, lost parents at a young age.
Mm.
One was a product of molestation. One had the remaining parent was alcoholic, criminal, junkie type
Wow.
scenario. And neither one of them had seen healthy, like both from the projects, albeit South or West Side, right? And both were looking for an escape. Like my mom
Yeah.
really like had me because she wanted somebody to love her.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like once you dig into like family history, you understand a lot of stuff starts to make sense. Again, it doesn't
Yep.
excuse it, but it helps you to be able to make more informed decisions. Now, again, one of my parents just at the end of the day, this just don't work out.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. But and to your point, I have complete and utter peace, sleep well behind it because I've given all the opportunities, done all the things,
Yep.
owned all the roles that I play, and I'm going on about my business.
Yep.
But people think they're protecting their children when the reality of it is you're acting out of whatever your unresolved, unhealed trauma issues,
Yes.
are, and it backfires because that story is gonna come out.
Oh, yeah. So, question for you, because I could talk to
Sure.
you all day. How how does Disruptive Inc. So I love the name, first of all. How does that play a role in your life and with single parents? Like how does all of that tie in together?
Everything that I do, from my full-time job to the for-profit career and workforce development consultant through CHBM Services and through Disruptive Inc., is in the same vein. It's all in career
Okay.
development, right? Disruptive Inc. allows me the opportunity to share resources and support across the gambit, at either for free or at limited cost.
Mm,
So through the 501c3, we have literally dealt with everything over the last 4 years. What happened up until last year was whatever the thing was in the world, that's what the boots on the ground event would be, right? So
okay.
2019, we didn't do anything because that was the year that we officially formed. So 2019, like we were figuring out how parents to spend time with kids, and I was getting Chicago Sky tickets and stuff, right?
Oh, nice.
2020 was the pandemic. So
Mhm.
now we're pivoting to virtual and reading the room. Now we're focusing on emotional health, wellness. We're helping businesses clean up. We're like getting PPE out in the neighborhoods. We're passing out sanitary products on street corners, like to
Mm,
women. We were literally doing everything. And then we did a virtual career fair, right? Because people, and one thing that I speak about a lot is the importance of temp agencies. Because there's a
yeah.
lot of people who are either unemployable or underemployed, and temp agencies help you get over some of those barriers. So we
Yep.
intentionally like built this whole virtual program that advertised variant placement agencies, and we talked about restorative justice. Like we talked about the whole thing because I try to bring everything along, right? Because I told you it's holistic. So
Yep.
whatever's going on in the background comes to the forefront and it shows up in the workplace. So then 2021, now we're out the pandemic, but we're not. We're just now starting to see, and for the next few years, right, we're seeing what the real ramifications were of people like the world shutting down and these people in these lower paying positions that were forced to work and show up and all of this other great stuff. So, and then the scamming, because the scamming was at an all-time high, right? So our boots on the ground event for 2021, was dealing with food insecurity, financial literacy, the moratorium, and back to school supplies. So we did all that. Then 2022, now things are starting to calm a little bit. And I'm really starting to understand what direction and where the greatest impact is. So I'm big on networking. You know, I'm always talking about relationships. Like that's every post has something to do with relationships in some way, shape, fashion, or form, and accountability.
Yes. Oh, you big on accountability.
I'm big on accountability. So all of our events now consistently going forward have to do with relationships. And that's going to be the relationship with you. That's going to be building your network, your, core group, the relationship from an employee standpoint, but across the gambit, and it's teaching you networking skills. So every last one of the events that we host close to the parenting holidays, either on or close to one of the parenting holidays throughout the course of the year, is an opportunity for you to, come in a room with other like-minded parents or parents that are across all gambits, career fields, like the whole nine, and learn how to network quickly. So I literally create prompts from a speed networking standpoint. I create intentional prompts, put them on the table, and I force the folks.
Yeah.
So by the time we're done, like I won't have more than 25 folks in an event. And by the time we're done, y'all gonna have this little bougie experience because that food's gonna be crazy and it's gonna be something to put your little pinky up, right? Because just because we're not for profit don't mean that we have to do poor stuff, right? Like it's all a part of the vibe. So, you're going to have some little bougie food experience, drink you some mimosas so you can get your liquid courage.
Right.
But you're going to meet everybody in this room. And the connections that have formed from the events that I have hosted over the years have been crazy. So every year, we're just going to change what the focus is for the events. I'll change the prompts, but that's what we're doing.
Girl, honey, people talk about me always being on the grind and having the energy and stamina. Wait, they ain't gonna talk about me now when they hear this episode. They're gonna be like, dang, they probably be like, it's another one out there. Look,
but it's not work. Like it's like I mentioned, like everything that I do overlaps. So that's a part of the reason why I don't burn out and lose my mind. Exactly. Plus, I genuinely believe in and love what it is that I do. I'm sincerely willing to help anybody that's willing to help themselves. Now, for everybody else, you've seen those posts. You know how I feel about that.
Yes. I'm the same way, though. As long as you're helping yourself and you're taking accountability for the things that you may have done or whatever, and not just putting it off on someone else, I'm willing to help you because I can't do the work for you. You have to also do the work. So I definitely understand that for sure. But I know we're coming up. Y'all know I like to keep my episodes short and sweet, but this is too good to be short and sweet. So plus it's a good time when Catherine is around. Like she's the same on screen and off screen, just to let y'all know. I want to talk about your latest book because you got 7 books now, child. Okay, listen. And we're going to talk about where people could buy the book because they need some help. So let's talk about your most recent book that dropped. I guess what's a key takeaway or key takeaways? Maybe 3, if you could think of 3 key takeaways from the book.
I'm going to tell you a story instead because after I wrote my last book was, I think, not everyone cannot go. I think that was the last one. So all of these books are short reads. Intentionally, I like to get to the point, and you're going to have some type of activity in the book. It's journaling or something, right? So it's going to be less than 50 pages. You're going to get to the point. You're going to have a good time. You might be mad at me, but that's between you and Jesus and your therapist. It ain't got nothing to do with me for real. I'm just the messenger. All of them are available on Amazon. But this last book, I was done. I wasn't, people have been trying to get me to do something else for the longest, and the pen had gone down. However, this book, Lead From Within, that dropped on December 12th, right, is a collective. And it pushes me to a different level because everybody that is in this book is a part of this small business group that has been faithful, supportive, and has taken Disruptive under their wing since 2020. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But all of these individuals are seasoned, like with Lowry's and garlic, like seasoned.
And onion powder.
And onion powder. Entrepreneurs. Like they've been in this. I'm probably the youngest person on the book. Close to, like one of two out of the 9 authors. They sponsored me to be a part of this. They wanted me to be a part of this. These people
ain't
did
that
not
a
need
blessing
me
to be wanted? Let
me tell you something. They don't need me. I have no value add for them per se, right? Because they're established, and some of them come from generational wealth. Like these people are doing well in life. However, they sponsored my participation in the book if I was interested. And each of the chapters of Lead From Within tell a different aspect of how they developed and what aspect or what leadership trait is near and dear to them. So you can guess what my chapter is about. But it was a great opportunity, and I'm really blessed and fortunate to be a part of it. So this organization, this small business networking group existed pre-2020. But in 2020, they saw everything that was going on and they were trying to figure out a way to help because they don't know inner city folks. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't, and they are very, very aware of, white savior complex and all of these things. So they were looking for a way to be able to support. And at the time, I had reached out to my old boss. And I was like, I'm thinking about creating a workforce development program. And I need to know if this makes sense. And he was like, pause. Because yes, it makes sense. Yes, I want to be a part of it. However, I got a group that I want to introduce you to. And we just started this initiative where we're trying to give back to the community and we don't know how. So for 3 years, I was the sole benefactor and not-for-profit that they focused on supporting. And I mean, they helped me across a gambit. And then I was like, okay, so this is enough, right? I appreciate y'all, but it's time to, like y'all, I mean, I always need money. I'm not going to act like I don't, right? It's a not-for-profit. But that was another one of those conversations with God. And he was like, it's time for you to step out of this. So I shared my thoughts and feelings, and it ended up turning into a group where they now do capacity building for other not-for-profits. So they like take a cohort of 8 for the course of the year, and they teach them all the things about the back end and marketing and growing your board, like whatever the topics are that are near and dear. Of course, there's an interviewing process, right? Because it's good stuff. So they're going to screen, and you have to be at a certain level to be able to participate in all of these things. But in everything that we do, they accredit that group to me and being my idea. They accredit me to being one of the founders of the Rise and Shine Committee, which is crazy because I heard them say that for the first time on yesterday when we were on a networking call. And they aggressively support and show up. So there's 2 reasons why I'm saying that. When you talk about takeaways, right, and what's important, it's not so much what's inside of the book for me. I mean, I wrote it. Like if I it's going to be some great quotables and stuff and some lessons in there, right? But for me, it's more about the journey. There's not a lot of people that are fortunate enough to have people push them and believe in them and support them and put their money where their mouth is in regards to that support. We have to be able to accept that help, right? Because the younger me would have been too proud. I don't need you to give me nothing.
Yep.
I can pay you the $3,000 to be a part of it. Can't.
Just to be out here saying stuff like,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But for me, it's me realizing where I am. One, that it's this group of people that see me, and I ain't gonna say they look at me as an equal. I ain't gonna say that. But they see me as a value add in some way, shape, fashion, or form, right? And they see me as somebody they want to support. I don't care how you look at me. If that's the case, if you see me as someone that you are willing to pour into and you want to see me be great, all that other stuff, is irrelevant because there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing bad coming out of that. They ain't tried to benefit off me in any way, shape, fashion, or form.
Wow.
So that's one of the takeaways. And two, like I said, I was done. I wasn't writing nothing else. But us being able to recognize opportunities when they come to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
us getting out of our way. So it's some great stuff in those chapters. I definitely encourage getting the book, but it's bigger than just that for me from the takeaways. And
Yeah.
then, of course, my chapter, God willing, is going to be my TED Talk.
Okay. Exclusive. Hey, girl, I'm telling you, not dance break. Dance break. Dun, 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 dun. Can't touch this. And I'm gonna be right there cheering you on because I told y'all Powerhouse. I told y'all at the beginning, Powerhouse. Like I love it, and I love the fact that it's so funny because you're like, oh yeah, I just add a little sprinkle of value here, this or that. I'm like, girl, you out here saving and changing lives, okay? Like nothing you're doing is just like but I think people have to realize that when you are doing something that you love to do, and because that's how I feel, like it's not work to me. Like this is fun. This is fun to me. Like things that I do, it's fun. And so you don't become as drained or burnt out or see it as just like, oh, I have to go to this networking event or, oh, I have to go, and do this. And you don't see it as that. And I just love that about you. And I love that is somebody else out here like me that's like that. Cause y'all, I get tired and I be resting, but I love what I do.
Yeah.
And when you have answered the call in your life and your purpose and all of that, it's just like you be really wanting to see people win, not for your benefit, but because you can see
right there.
What's on the inside of them. And
I love
come
seeing
on.
what's on the other side of that hard work. Like when people, be it at work or anywhere else, like it's something that I can't tell you about now.
Yeah.
But I'll have to circle back and tell you later because there's something that's kind of brewing right now. But I recently just had a conversation at work and I was talking to a young lady. She was like, I did all the things you told me to do. She was like she runs one of the ERGs and they for 2024, there's an event later in the year that
Oh wait, people may not know what an ERG is. I don't know if everybody is corporate like us, but I know what it is.
Group. Yeah, like an employee resource group. The employee resource groups at my job, like I am the DEI liaison for talent development, but they intentionally ask for me regardless. And I have a reputation of like being candid and I'm gonna tell them the truth and I'm gonna help them. So this particular young lady is now the chair for one of these ERGs. And she was like, I remember when I came and talked to you, like after you built this series that I was a part of, yada, yada, yada. And when I came and talked to you, because you told me that that your cube was always open, and she pulled up on my cube, and we talked for a while. And I really did not think I was reaching her. Like I thought that I was overwhelming her. She said I did everything you told me to do. Wow. Everything that and I'm still doing everything that you tell me to do. And I'm realizing now that I have individual employees that are either being referred to me. The people do it. They're happy that they did it. They joke about the way that the messaging came across or whatever the case. They be like, you're direct. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just, you're going to tell us the truth and you have to be okay with that. And if you ain't okay with that, then you're not ready for whatever is next. But to hear like lately, this last quarter has been crazy by way of folks pouring back into me to let me know that, like, validating me from that standpoint.
Yes.
And you need that on the journey because one, is exhausting, and more often than not, it looked like nothing's moving.
Yes. Yes.
So you need, like, going back to the whole flowers thing, right? Like, you need for those people to reach back around and be like, hey, I appreciate you. And I make jokes about the fact people just like to tell me their business. Like, for whatever reason, I make people that comfortable. Folks just be sliding on me. Like, can I talk to you? Girl, I don't even know you, but whatever. All right. Like, all of that is a gift. And I don't take it for granted. So to your point, like, it's not work for me. I have to force myself to charge when it comes to certain things. Like, I had to force myself to add a financial aspect to the not-for-profit events. One, because we got to pay for the events. But two, people don't appreciate free.
Girl, tell me about it, because I'm right there with you. I struggled with that, like adding on a fee to things, and I'm just like, I'm running a business, number one, and it's my time, number two, and
you gotta eat.
You got,
you want to keep running the business, you have to pay for the business that you're running. So
understand 100%. So, girl, we've been talking for a very long time. But I love it. I really do. I love the work that you're doing. I love just everything about you. You're just so real, down to earth, just a gem. And you're really out here, doing your thing. So as we wrap this up, I just want to give you your flowers and say thank you for being on my podcast, girl.
Anytime.
And, look, you're going to be back because we got some more to talk about. We got some more to talk about. But no, seriously, I really appreciate you. When I saw your name come through, I'm like, oh my God. Cause girl, when you up on stage for, your world tour and all that, I'm like, I know her. Y'all go download the podcast episode because she was on it. Woo, I really know her. I know.
I'm gonna say it too. I know her. Me, she, they, hey.
But seriously though, tell the people where they can connect with you. And I'm going to leave it all in the description too. Tell them where they could connect with you. Tell them where to buy all of the 7 books and, anything else you want to leave for the peoples.
The easiest thing to do is to connect with my Linktree. So it's Linktree / CHBM Services. That's the easiest, because then everything, the social media, the business pages, articles, interviews, it's all there. But if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or on LinkedIn, you can find me by way of CHBM Services, or you can find me at Ask Catherine, ASC Catherine, because it stands for Author Speaker Coach.
She done told us, y'all. Well, Catherine, thank you again for being on this episode. And y'all, that's a wrap for today's episode. I really hope you took a pen and paper and wrote down some of these gems. But even if you didn't, it's recorded. So go ahead and play it back. Y'all know I like to keep it short and sweet, but not this episode. It was just too good, right? Until next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Unplug with Just Wit podcast. Before we part ways, remember to hit the subscribe button so we can keep the conversation going. And hey, don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Don't be shy. Share this podcast and spread the love on social media. Until next time, keep rocking that mom life with lots of Jesus and know that you're doing an amazing job, sis.